What's up, everybody? I'm Joseph Hennessy. We're here at Wellston to watch the Rockets take on the Athens Bulldogs. It's a pretty intense game. TVC Ohio Championship implications are on. Is ticking for playoff time, and conference championships are on the line. A lot of the teams we will see tonight are on the outside looking in at the state playoffs for their region. But a win tonight can change that quick. We sent out crews to Miami Trace, Philo, Southern, TriValley, and our game of the week was in Wellston. Stick around to see if your hometown team got the win, if you can go 3 for 3 on our hit or miss game, and to find out where we will be next week. Into the MVL we go. And our first game we're going to talk about is the Maysville Panthers traveling to Philo, where they are planning to spoil the Electric's chance at any chance of the MVL title. MVL reporter Alex Porter joins me here in the center of Studio A.
Joe, the Panthers were definitely trying to spoil this victory for Philo. The MVL has started to take shape the last few weeks, and Philo is trailing TriValley, Sheridan, and John Glenn for a share of the title. So you could say this was a must-win for the Electrics. Playoffs are right around the corner, and Philo fans are ecstatic. As for the squad, they're repping sick unis brought to you by the National Guard. First drive of the game for Philo. Brock Luberg picks up a solid gain, which would result in a Hunter Adolph 7-yard touchdown run. The defense doesn't look like they're slacking either, but that wouldn't slow down Caden Hall, as the Panthers would pick up this 23-yard pass to tie the game at 7. But I would not count out number 8. Adolph on the falling drive gets it started with a dart to Elijah Preston. That young man gets a few more on his feet. And Adolph says, I want some of that sauce. He rolls to his right, gets a stiff arm on this run for a solid gain. That would end the first quarter, but Adolph would start the second quarter. With this 13-yard touchdown run, he puts defenders in the spin cycle, high steps into the end zone, 4-6. Gotta give some love to the squad. And why not stay with the man who's hot? Only 2 minutes later, it's the Adolph to Preston connection again, this time for 60 yards and a wide open end zone. And just like that, the Electrics would get this victory over Maysville 35-21.
Yeah, Philo able to get that 2-touchdown win. As you said, it was very needed.
Yeah, it was a must-win for the Electrics, but it was pretty close. After all, it was only 23-13 heading into the locker room at halftime.
Yeah, Philo was able to put up 35 points tonight. Who was most responsible for all of that offensive success?
There's only one name, Joe, Hunter Adolph. And as you saw in the highlights, he was eating on offense. He ended the game with 185 pass yards with 2 touchdowns and even managed to do more on his feet. He ran for 136 yards and 3 touchdowns. So all the scoring came from him tonight. He's one of the elite rushers in the MVL, regardless of position. It sounds like he could be a dark horse player for candidate of the year. So if that keeps up his play.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Alex, but the MVL, they have some tough individual competition, so he'll have to really stand out. Hunter is taking a lot of the spotlight on offense tonight. Did anyone else stand out? That defense looked good too.
Okay, Joe, so you know football is a team sport. But I would say the defense as a whole. To start the game, the whole team was amped up, and you could feel the energy, and it translated to the defensive side of the ball. The Electrics had a few big hits, some of which went for penalties, but that's just because, as I said, they had energy, and it really didn't stop. Colt Perkins, Brock Luberg, and Levi Deal were all responsible for sacks, and Trey Wilson picked up the lone interception. So that just shows that their defense was in the game too.
Yeah, overall, it was a great game for Philo as they were able to pick up that much needed win, like you said. The MVL is getting tighter, so this week was vital to see what the outcome will be. Thanks for the great work, Alex. Switching over to the TVC, the Hawking finds itself with 4 teams battling it out for second place, and 2 of them, they played tonight. Waterford traveling to Racine to take on Southern. TVC Hawking reporter Zach Paquette was in Racine tonight to witness this slugfest. Waterford hit him with an uppercut, though, Zach.
This game had playoff implications written all over it. Heading into tonight, Waterford was holding on to a playoff spot, and Southern found themselves on the outside looking in. Southern getting fired up as they're facing a must-win game tonight as they played host to the Waterford Wildcats. Waterford ball first, Zane Heiss rolls out, can't find anyone open, so he goes to work himself, barreling his way for the first down. Couple plays later, Heiss caps off the drive and sneaks it up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown. Wildcats strike first 7 3-0. Southern on 4th and short lines up to punt, and Trey McNichol, he sees an opening and runs 15 yards up the sideline for the first down. Southern would be forced to punt later on. Next Waterford drive, Joe Pandalitis takes the carry 21 yards up the middle, untouched for the score. 13-0 Waterford early in the second. Everybody was eating for Waterford tonight. Bailey McGraw flies into the backfield and gets Gage Schuler for the loss. Now, Waterford tries to pull the double reverse, and Zane Heiss ends up with the ball, and he sees an opening and goes up the far sideline. He'll dive for the pylon and be called just short, but he'll score later, making it 20-0 Wildcats. Southern will try some trickery of their own and try a hook and ladder, but it's stuffed by the Waterford defense as Waterford will go on to win 42-12.
Yeah, Waterford had the tough task of dealing with Trey McNichol tonight. How did they fare with that?
Joe, Trey McNichol is an explosive player, and the Waterford defense had one thing on their mind: stop him at all costs. Overall, the Wildcat defense was flying all over the field and made plays all around. They contained McNichol and didn't allow him to get into the open space early on, which allowed Waterford to jump out to a commanding 27-0 lead in the first half. Southern was forced to utilize players other than McNichol, and Waterford's defense was on top of it.
That defense is looking very good right now. How does this affect their playoff chances?
The Waterford win tonight definitely helps out their case, especially in the fashion that they won. A 30-point win is definitely something worth talking about, and Southern was a good team. They were right there on the bubble for a potential playoff spot. All Waterford needs to do is just win out, and they should make the playoffs easily. For Southern, this loss hurts their playoff chances, and their schedule doesn't get any easier for them. They still have to face first-place Trimble and cross-county rival Eastern in Week 10. Both teams have a good chance to make the playoffs, so if things don't change soon next week, Southern could be playing spoiler in Week 10 when they take on Eastern.
Well, we get to see McNichol and Southern again next week, like you said, against Trimble, and the Waterford boys must be feeling pretty good with that win. Zach, thanks, my man. If you or a loved one missed tonight's show and wants to see your kids' highlight on top play from the night, that's okay, because we also post a link to our full show on the @Gridiron Glory Facebook and Twitter accounts. We also are active on Snapchat, and we love to hear what the fans think. And for the written recaps of games, go to WOUB.org/gridiron, and those will be posted within the next hour, so check that out. Tweet at us with your favorite tweet of the week and snap us something and find out if you'll be on the show next week. Alrighty, now we're going to take a quick break from this week's Friday Night Action to go to our man David Butts for one of our favorite segments, Hit or Miss.
0-3 last week for you, Joe, but I'm feeling a bounce back coming. To remind our fans at home, it's real simple. I'll show you 3 plays, and you got to decide hit or miss.
Alrighty.
All right. First play here is going to take us to some Week 6 action. Trimble at Waterford. We're going to get to see a backside screen here. Just develop a little bit for Joe Bentalitis. A great fake there, gets it set up, but here he's got a one-on-one with Cam Kittle. Joe, hit or miss?
That's a hit.
That is a hit, and up and under he goes from the Cam Kittle hit. And now to River Valley and Wellston as the running back. Patton is going to take this handoff here, and he's going to be up against Ryan Jones on the sideline. Joe, setting up right here, hit or miss?
Hit.
Yes, sir. A solid wrap-up. You're 2 for 2, Joe. Coming back. All right, last play for you. South Gallia at Belpre. We're going to see a nice, right here, we've got the, right here, a nice completion here to Walker Fetch. And right here on the catch, he's going to get it, but Kyle Northup is there for the potential stop.
Shimmy, shake, miss. Shimmy, shake, miss.
Out, shimmy, shake, miss. That's 3 for 3, Joe. He's going to make a miss and head all the way to the end zone. And Joe, I was hoping you'd bounce back, and you definitely did. 3 for 3.
Shimmy, shake, miss. 3 for 3.
Shimmy,
a lot better
shake,
than last
miss.
week. 0-3. Not happy about it. I really studied the tape. You almost got me.
I almost
got
did.
me, but you
That's
didn't
for
get
sure.
me. And hey, if you're playing at home as well, tag us on Facebook and Twitter with your own personal score with the hashtag GridGlory, so I can see if I am as bad as everyone else at this game, because I'm struggling. Thanks, David.
No problem.
This week in the FAC, we saw 1 versus 2 with one team in particular looking for a big-time upset. FAC reporter Ryan Kincaid is live from Miami Trace High School with the fallout. Ryan?
Thanks, Joseph. We saw a fun game here at Miami Trace throughout the contest. There was plenty of momentum shifts going one way and the other. All in all, this brand new stadium and high school gave us a ton of excitement throughout, and we got a clearer picture of just who is number 1 in the FAC. On the outskirts of Washington Courthouse, Miami Trace is ready to test their mettle against Jackson. But the Ironmen came out the gates hot to start. Jaden Spires carried the ball to the end zone first, put Jackson up 7. Next Ironman drive looks to be a beautiful touchdown pass to Bryce Graham from Jason Eisenhower, but it's called back on a penalty. Eisenhower tries again, but watch the defense here. The ball is knocked loose on the hit. Miami Trace falls on the ball and recovers it to secure the turnover. Trace can't capitalize and is forced to punt, giving Spires another line drive shot at the end zone, putting us 14-zip Ironman on a long 6-minute, 97-yard drive. Later in the second, Eisenhower keeps the ball and shows off his own footwork, skirting up the sideline to find the end zone to put the Ironmen up 21-0. Now, you'd think the Ironmen have this game settled, but not so fast, my friends. Dalton Meyer hands off to Jaden LeBeau, who runs it in from 19 yards out to make the score 21-6. Trace is back in it, and LeBeau does it again here after another Jackson fumble just a few minutes later to bring Miami Trace back into the game at 21-12, but the Panthers can't complete the comeback. Jackson runs away with it 41-19. Now, Jackson ran away with it in the fourth quarter, putting up the points, but you got to give kudos to this Miami Trace team. They played hard, they played fast, and they never gave up. All in all, a good showing from Trace. They may be down, but they are not out of the FAC championship race.
Yeah, big win for the Ironmen, but what a performance by
Joe,
Trace.
one man ran the offense tonight. Jaden LeBeau ran all night long against the Iron Curtain defense of Jackson, notching a total of 54 yards on the ground. We also can't discount the defense here. 4 fumbles by this unit showed that while the score was big, them boys can play ball.
Yeah, speaking of, why were there so many fumbles?
Well, it was simply a case of Butterfingers and a defense that had an eye for the ball at all times. Jackson could have scored more touchdowns tonight, but turnovers kept Miami Trace in the game well past the second half.
You know I love stats, so break down the numbers for us. How did the offensive production add up?
Miami Trace was unable to get anything going in the first half, earning just 12 total yards. Jackson, in the meantime, had a stellar showing with 487 total offensive yards, 348 of which came on the ground. Though a comeback was posed, the Ironmen put the Panthers down hard, and they stay undefeated as a result.
How does this loss affect the Panthers?
Trace drops their first FAC game this year, falling to 5-3. They're now tied with Washington Courthouse and Chillicothe for second place in the FAC. Now Jackson, they remain undefeated at 8-0. They look to continue their winning ways at Hillsborough. Miami Trace, they're going to get back in the winning columns, they hope to at least, against Chillicothe.
Yeah, looks like a couple of fun future matchups for us. Thanks, Ryan, and get home safe, my man. Last week I said on the show, if Coach Board and the New Lex boys wanted the smoke, they can get it. So Ethan Sands, Paul Roth, and myself showed off our dance moves, and we want to challenge anyone else watching. I want to see if anyone can outdance me and Ethan, and if anyone can, how do I say this, bring more flair and spunk than Paul. Send us a video of you dancing with the hashtag GGDanceBattle, because we will be watching. There was a big game going on out in Dresden tonight. The TriValley Scottys welcomed the John Glenn Little Muskies into town for a game with huge implications for the MVL. Joining me now is MVL lead reporter Paul Roth, who was there to able to catch the action.
Yeah, Joe, before tonight's slate of games, there was a 3-way tie at the top of the MVL. Those 3, Sheridan and these 2 teams in this one, meaning the winner could end up winning a share of the conference. Now, Scottys fans, they were out and ready, all bundled up as it was a chilly one out in Dresden tonight. Now, first drive for John Glenn, Evan Williams drops back and hits Reese Perkins on a screen, makes the first man miss, spins out of another tackle as he makes his way up the sideline for a 23-yard pickup. Then later in the drive, Noah Wellmeyer takes the give to the left and he gets lost in the pack, but I promise you he scores, or so I was told. Now, just before the end of the first, Scottys have a screen of their own to Blake Sands, and it's so good it fakes out the camera guy for a second, but he finds him in the end as Sands picks up 27 yards before getting knocked out of bounds. And later in that drive, Fritter takes it straight up the middle, gets a couple of little hops in there. If this was Madden, I think his Y button was stuck. Then a few plays later, they go to the workhorse Sands right up the middle, and that'll tie things up at 7. And then after John Glenn was forced to punt, Scottys on the attack again. They fake to Sands, reverse it to Pantaleo, who tiptoes through a couple defenders before they pull him down by his shoestrings. Then facing a 4th and 1 at the John Glenn 2, the Little Muskies defense comes up huge and stuff it at the 1. But the Scottys get a fresh set of downs, and the next play they would use them. Fritter fakes it and takes it right up the middle for 6, but the Little Muskies would come back in the second half and win it 24-21 on a late game field goal.
Wow, so this could potentially be the end of TriValley's 9-year run as the winner of the NBL.
Oh, crazy, Joe. It's the importance of this game. It cannot be understated. The Scottys' reign is seemingly over.
Yeah, and it wasn't a fluke either. John Glenn has been tough all year.
Oh, they really have. Time after time, it's been the run game. That's this team's identity, and they certainly did not shy away from it in this one. Noah Wellmeyer. Remember that name because this dude's just a sophomore, and in arguably the biggest game of their team season so far, he put up 130 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 25 carries.
That's over 5 yards a carry. That's pretty good.
Right, you are, Joe, and it hasn't been just this game. He's emerged out of a crowded Little Muskie's backfield and should be a huge part of their offense for years to come.
Well, on TriValley's side, they have an elite runner of their own, Player of the Year candidate, Blake Sands.
Yeah, Blake Sands is going to do what Blake Sands does. It's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of, are the Scottys playing this week? Yep. Well, then Sands is good for over 100 yards and 2 scores.
All right, and tonight?
You already know, Joe, 128 yards and 2 tutties.
All right, so both teams had the offenses clicking on the ground, but how did the Little Muskies pull this one out in the end?
Well, they flashed a couple of big plays in the first half, but the Little Muskies really bared down in the second. Score Perkins picked off Aiden Fritter, and as a whole, John Glenn held the Scottys to just 7 second-half points.
Yeah, big games all around for a lot of guys, and you can't forget another Player of the Year candidate, Reese Perkins, hauled in 88 receiving yards and a touchdown. Pretty good numbers, but as always, thanks, Paul. The Wellston Rockets fan section was awesome tonight. It was a bit chilly out, but that didn't stop them from cheering on their boys. I got the chance to walk around and talk to a lot of kids about why they're the fan of the week, and we found some that were more than deserving of it. Here is the fan of the week.
Golden Rocket! To the 5. Touchdown.
What's your name?
Kate Wilbur.
Kate? All right, why do you think you're the biggest fan?
Because I've been to every home game for past 5 years maybe.
Really?
Force pass incomplete.
Oh yeah, he's getting the pink eye on. I like it. I like it. Why do you think? Are you a big fan for? Oh yeah, I'm a big fan.
There he is, baby. Number 11, Player of the Year. Player of the Year. Number 11.
What's your name?
My name's Brooklyn Frisbee.
Brooklyn. Alrighty, why are you the biggest fan? Everyone pointed at you.
Cause I go to the games every week, and number 4 is my brother, and proud sister.
I look good in pink. You got shoes. Oh, you wait. SpongeBob's Country Bubble.
Yep, he's a celebrity of Wellston.
Such a big fan, and you were so excited. We want to give you one of our fan of the weeks. So there's your T-shirt. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alrighty, go Wellston, right? Go Wellston.
Fan of the week. Let's go! Give me that. Give me that. Let's
Oh
go.
boy. There we go. We got you the bag. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
There you go.
Wait,
Congratulations. There you
Thank
go.
you.
You were one of the fan of the weeks. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Great. Awesome. Can you ring the cowbell?
The TVC Ohio Championship is on the line. The Golden Rockets are led by Rylan Mullahan, and they are ready to show that they are for real. The Bulldogs are trying to repeat and remain the big dogs of the conference. Wellston is trying to get their first championship since 2002. Athens versus Wellston. Bulldogs versus Golden Rockets. This is Gridiron Glory's Game of the Week.
Shout out to Paul for making the video, and that music gets me pumped. Alrighty, TVC Ohio reporter Ethan Sands joins me now. And Ethan, You got to see Mullahan in person, and this was a game we were talking about all week. It's a huge game. What did you see?
Well, Joseph, this is a game that we have been looking forward to all year long, and the Athens Bulldogs came into this game as the underdogs. And the task at hand, stop Rylan Mullahan. It was homecoming night for Wilson, and who other than Corey Wagner to be named the homecoming king? The Golden Rockets wanted to praise their king and came out ready to go. R.J. Kemp takes it himself up the gut and hits a defender and runs it down the right sideline before being knocked out of bounds, of course, but that drive would stall. After the Bulldogs score first, Rylan Mullahan comes right back with one of his own on this 30-yard run. Makes the defender slip and slide and waltzes his way into the end zone. 7-6 Bulldogs. After going 3 and out, the Bulldogs would get the ball back right here when Braden Malbert goes up for the pick, and he is off to the races. Got some blockers in front of him, but he's taken down at the Golden Rockets 5, and on the next play, it's Joey Moore. Could you make it look any easier, big fella? Stutter step, and he's in for the score. No celebration needed. Kemp looking to get back, going something different. Has to roll out to his left, but he finds Mullahan on the sideline for this toe tapper catch for the first down. And Kemp is going to be on the move again. Flushed out to his right, but oh man, does he get popped by Nate Traynor. Welcome back, my guy, and the Bulldogs rumble to a 34-18 victory.
The teams have been playing pedal to the metal all season long, and the weather has just started dipping.
This is when real football is played. The harder the hits, they come harder. And the bigger the plays, they come bigger.
Are you talking about GG Player of the Year?
Well, I mean, you might have caught me. Great minds think alike. And I won't spoil anything, but I mentioned earlier that stopping Rylan Mullahan will be the main priority for the Bulldogs tonight. I mean, I guess you didn't spoil anything, but this game fell into the Bulldogs' grasp. Joey Moore is a dual-threat quarterback throughout the season. We got to see his young arm develop, and the Bulldogs did their homework. They didn't play with a slow pace as they ran the hurry-up all game long, and by the end of the first drive, Wellston players were visibly tired.
Yeah, we've seen the different styles of offense for all teams throughout the season, and this was a huge game for the TVC Ohio as the Bulldogs walk away still undefeated in their conference.
The Bulldogs have been somewhat of a sleeper team all season at only 4-4, but they provided tonight that they play at their tempo, that they have the momentum. Wilson's offense simply couldn't get anything going, and I know there isn't any lineman love this week, Joe, but credit to the men on defensive front on Athens. They were holding down the fort all night long.
Yeah, LL always. This game proved that Athens has faced some tough opponents all season and can hang with the best of them. Tonight's game pushes the Bulldogs ahead of the Golden Rockets in the TVC Ohio play, and the TVC has already had a lot of leader changes at the top.
That's true, Joe. That's the beauty of high school football. The tide can always turn.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Thanks, Ethan. Here's the tweet of the week, and it's from Philo Football. You saw the jerseys earlier tonight, but here is the tweet they sent out before the kickoff. It was Military Appreciation Night, and they were given these jerseys by the Army National Guard for tonight's game. The athletic director for Philo, Cara Harris, said they won a competition from the National Guard, and they shipped out these jerseys to them. Those jerseys are clean. And now for our Coach of the Year candidates. Wellston, they may have lost at home to Athens, but look, the Rockets went 3-7 last week, and we're expected to end the same way this year with the new head coach in Mike Smith. They are 6-2 after tonight and can still win a share of the TVC Ohio. Jackson is led by Andy Hall. They are expected to finish 10-0. They're running through the FAC. It's last year's Coach of the Year, Phil Ferris. Trimble is filled with great talent, but Ferris puts them in positions to succeed. In the MVL, it's Paul Culver III. They're sitting at 6-2 and 5-1 in conference play. Their only loss is to a number 2 team in Division 4 Region 15, according to Joe Idle, Licking Valley. And finally, it is Matt Edwards for John Glenn Little Muskies after their big win over TriValley. John Glenn's only conference loss this year is to Culver Sheridan Generals, and the score was 13-12. Edwards has led the Muskies to number 6 in Division 4 Region 15 and can win a share of the MVL this year. That's a pretty good list right there, and now we get to talk about the Player of the Year candidates. Connor Wright is dominating the season. He has 116 carries with 1,126 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns. Then it's Sawyer Coons. He was the Division 7 Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he has built on that this year. He leads an undefeated Trimble squad at the middle linebacker position that has only allowed 6 points all season. He's got 67 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick 6. Sheesh. Trey McNichol, he is the running back for the Southern Tornadoes. He has 120 carries for 1,185 yards with 16 rushing touchdowns. 8 receptions for 183 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 kickoff return touchdown. In the TVC Ohio, it's Rylan Mullahan. The Golden Rockets are a run-heavy team, 142 carries, 1,155 total yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving, and he has 4 interceptions when playing DB. Keegan Wilburn, he broke the school receiving yards record this season as a running back. He's got 588 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 352 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. Jaden Spires has been bullying opponents in the FAC. As a linebacker, he's going to run down the ball runner anywhere they go on the field. He can also drop back in coverage easily with his size and power. Eli Lynch for the Washington Courthouse Blue Lions. He broke the school record for receiving yards earlier this season. At 6'2", he has the ability to get off the line easily against the smaller DBs. 56 receptions, 554 yards, which is 4th best in Division IV, and 6 touchdowns. Ethan Rogers-Wright, he's the one throwing the ball to Lynch, though. He's the young buck of the group as a junior, 1,075 passing yards with 15 touchdowns prior to tonight. We'll get those stats out as soon as possible. Into the NBL, it's Blake Sands. TriValley has switched from pass-heavy to run-heavy this season with him. He has 105 carries for 704 yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Then it's John Glenn Little Muskie's Reese Perkins, 36 receptions, 523 yards with 9 receiving touchdowns, which is most in the NBL, and tied for 3rd in all of Division IV. Now, as we go into Week 9, the games are getting down to the wire, and conference championship capability teams are narrowing down. We had some really good games and exciting games. I mean, that John Glenn Tri-Valley game was crazy, but next week, we got some good ones too. Here's where you can find GG Cruz next week. Nelsonville, York, we're coming to see how you guys battle against Vinton County. Both teams are finding their stride as the season ends. Then we will see if Wellston can bounce back. Mullahan had a good game tonight against Athens, but it is a team sport, and the Rockets will look to put it all together and bounce back. They need another TVC Ohio win as they will go against Coulter Cleveland and the Meigs Marauders. Then we're going to see Sheridan and Coach Culver and the boys do battle with Coach Valley and the Crooksville Ceramics. Could Crooksville play spoilers to the Generals' hope of an NVL title? I don't know. Shea Taylor and the boys are hungry, and they're looking to finish the year off right. We'll be there to find out. Then it's the Blue Lions with Lynch and Rogers-Wright going to McLean Courthouse trying to secure 2nd place in the FAC and look for some momentum and some more playoff points. McLean is coming off a loss to Chillicothe. And here we go. Our game of the week, the Southern Tornadoes got a loss tonight against Waterford, but they could upset the Trimble Tomcats next week. Trimble got some rest this week with that Fed Hawk situation, and they are ready to take down whoever is in their way. Connor Wright, Sawyer Coons, Cam Kittle, and the boys are looking to improve on what they need to as playoff time comes around. According to Joe Idle, Trimble is the #1 team in Division 6 Region 21, and with a week of rest, they're ready to do battle with Southern next week for our game of the week. But hey, Southern and Trey Nickel, they aren't just going to give up, right? They have a whole week to prepare for Trimble. It's going to be a big game, could be an upset, and they could move up spots in Division 7, Region 27. They are currently at number 10, so they need to get those wins. They need to boost up a little bit. Our Player of the Year candidates have another game to separate themselves with all the dark horses chasing them. Blake Sands, like we said earlier, Hunter Adolph, he's kind of sneaking up in there. Reese Perkins went off, so he's a little bit in the lead, but everyone has a chance right now. All righty, the weather's getting a little bit chilly. The sun is going down earlier than usual. It is football time. Let's get it. Now that it's just one of those games that's going to be intense next week, and we are really excited to see some hard-nosed football throughout all of Southeastern Ohio. And always remember, there is nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory. You bring glory. We Reporter. Keep up with all of our action on social media as well. GG host Joseph as well as me. Alrighty, next week we will see you same time, same place. All right.
You talk a lot. You talk a lot.
That's lots of numbers. All right. I got the topicals in there. All right, hey.